Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Givenchy holiday palette. This is number 9.16. It is limited edition. So we're going to take a look at this. We also have a lot of comparisons and all three of the new Hermes holiday lipsticks. So I already have a video featuring the satin shade that kind of released first in the shade Rose Mauve. So I'll leave that, kind of linked below. But I purchased the two new Matte Leger shades as well and apparently got to upload those. So we're going to take a look at these as well. Let's start off with the Hermes. So first of all, these are the three lipstick packaging designs. So this is Matte Leger. This one is the Rose A Pure. And then this one here is the Rose Premiere. So these are the two new ones. This is the Satiné in Rose Mauve. So you can see, we do have kind of, this one's all white in the background. The other Matte Leger is black in the bottom half, and this is white and black. So a little bit of mixing things up, but it helps you to kind of distinguish which one's which without having to read the label. So let's start off with swatches. We do have our typical Hermes packaging. It comes in the little sleeve and almost dropped the cap, and the pull-through box. And we do have the magnetic closure. So these, you can't purchase the shades as refills, but you can reuse the actual packaging with those that are in the permanent line. And again, this is going to be Rose A Pure. So you can see that the Matte Leger, it's super light, but it's buildable. It is essentially a lip blush. It is going to be a soft matte lip balm, essentially. So this is Rose A Pure, which is number 24. We have 69 Rose Premiere, which is what's on my lips. And I have it built up on my lips so you can see the full pigmentation level. And you can see this is going to be a cool tone, soft fuchsia pink, whereas the Rose A Pure is going to be more of a nude rose with neutral. It's neutral undertones, but it looks like it leans a little warm when it's next to those cooler shades. It's pretty neutral though. And then our satin shade, 55 Satiné Rose Mauve. And this is a beautiful shade. I've been wearing this a lot since I purchased this one. You can see this is going to be a nice reddish rose. Again, this one is going to be pretty neutral on the spectrum. There is, perhaps a tiny bit of coolness in the pink in here, but it's going to be neutral. So we've got Rose A Pure, Rose Premiere, and Rose Mauve. Let's take a look at these on the lips. These lipsticks retail for $85 US, and we have 3.5 grams of product, an 18-month shelf life, and they are made in Italy. I apologize for the background noise. Of course, as soon as I start filming, that's when lawn work starts. So anyway, according to Hermes, it says, reflecting Hermes's annual theme of drawing, the Autumn-Winter 2025 limited edition makeup collection for lips, eyes, and hands reinterprets two emblematic shapes, the circle and the square, a harmony of deep hues enhanced by accents of light. We have 3 new lipstick shades to grace lips with a variety of finishes and colors. Personally, I love this Matte Leger finish. I'd love to see more lipsticks in this particular formula. All 3 of these shades are absolutely stunning. No regrets on purchasing any of these. I did pass on the Hermes eyeshadow palette. I kind of wish I had gotten it. It was that gold shade that really kind of threw me off in there. So I think overall, it's a very beautiful collection. The lipsticks, though, for me, I couldn't resist these. What I love about the Matte Leger is it feels like a matte lip balm. You don't have a lot of product on your lip. It feels very lightweight, like there's not much there, but you do have kind of a little bit of that balmy, powdery texture that feels like it's just blurring your lips. And that's what I get from these. I love wearing these, even with just 1 to 2 sheer coats or built up. You've got variety and flexibility with this particular finish. And this is one of my favorite ones to throw in a bag because no matter what you're wearing, you can go light or deep. So it's a really, really nice formula here. And of course the Hermes satin, I've already talked about that one, but I do love their satin lipsticks, and the Rose Mauve is a beautiful shade as well. So Yeah, really, all three of these are fantastic. So let's do just a couple of quick comparisons. I wanted to take the new Merit lip blush from this year's archival set, and this is going to be in the shade Archival. We're going to go ahead and put this right here next to Rose Pure. And you can see that this is going to be a little bit, it has a little bit more of a mauve tone to it, a little cooler, a little plummier, but they are fairly close. So they do have some similar hues to it. The Rose Pure is going to be a little bit warmer. It also has a little bit more brown in there as well. Last year's Merit lip blush in Du Jour, which is going to be a bit more neutral than Archival. And you can see that this is going to be a bit different. It still has a bit more of that dusty rose vibe compared to Rose Pure, which is more of that brighter medium tone pink when it's built up. From Hermes, this was from their summer. This is in the Brilliant formula in Rose Gelatine. This is number 30. And I love, this is one of my favorite lip formulas, but I want to show you how those compare. And you can see that this color, it is fairly close to the Rose Premiere. The biggest difference, and I'm hoping this comes across, you have a little bit more blue in the Rose Premiere. So this is slightly cooler in tone. This is a bit more of that brighter neon pink. It's a little bit warmer. I wouldn't say it's a warm shade. It's definitely still cool in tone, but you can see it's a little bit warmer than that of Rose Premiere. I also want to look at the Tom Ford Black Orchid, and you can see that this is going to be closer to the Rose Mauve, but this has a bit more plum in it. The Rose Mauve is going to be a little warmer, a little rosier. And then my last comparison is the Tom Ford in Fuchsia. This is in their new Fabulous Lips. I wanted to compare this to the Rose Premiere. This is way more pigmented, but you can see color-wise, they do have a similar tone to it. The Tom Ford is going to have even more blue. It's going to be a little bit cooler in tone than the Rose Premiere. The Rose Premiere is a little bit more pink. So those are shades. Again, we've got Rose Pure, Rose Premiere, and Rose Mauve. I hope that was helpful. Let's move on to the Givenchy. Now, first I want to start off with the utensils that come with the Givenchy palette. So these are going to be tucked in the side, and you can see we've got two synthetic brushes, and you can put these together to get a dual-ended brush. So nice and portable here. The shadows come with a plastic tray to keep everything nice and neat. And this is our palette in 9.16. So let's go ahead and start with swatches. We have a ton of comparisons, so I'm going to put these in the middle of my arm. Our first shade here, you can see, is going to be a brown satin with a little bit of gray. It's not quite a taupe, not enough gray in there for that, but it's got a grayish leaning hue to it. Then this coppery gold shade, this is one that has like a shimmer formula, so you can actually kind of pat this on lightly to get more of just the glitter effect. Our third shade here is going to be a lighter, this is slightly warmer than the first shade. It's going to be a light brown here, but we do have, again, a touch of gray in there. So these are both shades that are like in that taupe family, but not a true taupe per se. This white one is also a glitter formula here, and you can see you can either build this up or you can get kind of that scattered starlight effect. Our middle shade is going to be a silver, and you can see we do have a tiny bit of blue in that silver. And this is going to be a, it's a shimmer formula similar to this gold one, but not quite as soft. You can see that this one, it kind of gets a little messy in the pan because it's really more of an accumulated pressed glitter. And then we have a black, which kind of looks like it's going to be matte in the pan, but it's actually going to be a satin shade. You can see you've got a bit of a sheen with that. You even have a tiny bit of glitter in there. This brown down here, love this. This is going to be a deep brown satin. Again, it's going to be a slightly cooler brown, but it's really pretty neutral. And then we have this shade, which reminds me of, those more orangey or khaki pants kind of colors that we used to see a ton when I was growing up. And then we have this kind of stone brown shade. So It's got a lot more gray in it, but it's definitely still a very soft light brown. So this is 9.16. I think is an absolutely stunning palette. Really great neutrals. Let's take a look at the eye swatches and the demos. The Givenchy 9.16 palette for holiday is limited edition. It retails for $72 US, and we typically don't get a lot of stock of these palettes here in the US. So if this is one you're interested in, I wouldn't wait on it. It was available at Nordstrom when I first purchased it, and then it sold out within hours. It didn't come back until a month later, and now it's at a few other retailers, but it keeps selling out. So if this is one you're interested in, definitely don't take too long to decide on that. As for product details, we have 8 grams of product, a 6-month shelf life, and it's made in Italy. I personally love the Givenchy eyeshadow formulas. In this palette, we have a mix of matte, satin, glitter, and metallic finishes. And this palette is called Parisian Lights. Overall, I would say that this is a neutral palette that leans cool. So we've got a lot of neutral shades, but they all have a little bit of a cool undertone or overtone to them, aside from kind of that orangey gold shade and that orangey khaki shade, at the bottom of the palette. Those are going to be your 2 warmer shades. Everything else, though, is either going to be neutral leaning cool, or it's going to be cool like the white and the silver and so forth. So I hope that is helpful, but we've had some really great kind of cooler neutral palettes come out recently, so I definitely want to make some comparisons with that. I think this is a fantastic palette. It's great for every day. I love it. I don't personally care for this orangey gold kind of shade. The formula on that is more of a looser glitter. The white shade is going to have a very similar formula to that. It's also a looser glitter, but I feel like the base on the white one, it just keeps everything kind of a little bit more cohesive, whereas I feel like the more orangey gold shade is a little bit looser, a little bit messier. And personally, that's just not a color I personally gravitate towards. So that one's not my favorite shade. I do actually like the warmer khaki tone shade in the middle of the bottom row. I think that is a really nice, soft kind of satin matte shade that works well with a lot of the other colors as a base to kind of warm things up a little bit. So I think that's a really nice inclusion. Overall, the palette itself is gorgeous. So in the demo, I wanted to show you kind of, something a little bit more holiday with the mixing of the silver and the gold. And, if you use a brush for those more glittery shades, you really get a softer impact. You can blend the silver and the gold together to get kind of just a silver and gold topper on top of an eye look. But if you're going to use a fingertip application, you get a much more pigmented look. It's actually very different in my opinion. So I wanted to kind of show you that with the demo. And then for today's look, I'm basically using the 4 corners of the palette, and those are my favorite shades in this palette personally. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few comparisons. So we might as well start off with the Givenchy palette. So this is 9.16, the new one, and this is one of my favorites, 9.12. This is in the permanent line. So you can see this is just a fantastic neutral palette, and I wanted to kind of see how this compares. So let's go ahead. We're going to kind of put these kind of near the color. So this is our first shade. You can see it's slightly warmer than that in the 9.16, but it is going to be close. Then we kind of have this more peachy champagne kind of shade. Our white on this is going to be more opaque. It's not a glitter topper here. Then we have, let's go this way, we have a matte brown. You can see this is going to be softer and lighter than the one in here. It's also going to be a little bit warmer in tone. This middle shade here kind of reminded me of this kind of khaki tone here, but you can see it's going to be a bit more brown. We have this peachy shade. Let's just go ahead and put this here. That's not going to be anything equivalent. We have a deep cocoa brown here. And you can see this is going to be much more similar in tone to the one in the 9.16. Then we have kind of this stone gray. Let's go ahead and put that down there. You can see it's going to be a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more brown. And then our last shade here is another kind of stone kind of shade. And you can see that it's going to be warmer in tone. So this is the 9.12 palette in comparison. There are definitely differences, but they are fairly close. So if you have the 9.12, if it's one of your favorite everyday palettes, 9.16 might be a nice way to switch it up a little bit. But if you already have 9.12, it's not one that you use all the time. 9.16 is close enough that I would pass on that then. So I'm going to remove these comparisons just so we keep everything straight. So just to show you one more time, the 9.12 palette. So let's move on. All right, so 9.16, and then this is 9.15 that came out in the spring. And I really just want to compare the bottom row here and see how that compares. So let's take a look at this lighter shade. We'll see how that one compares to that one. You can see it's close, but this one in the 9.15 is peachier. Here's our white, which again is similar but more opacity to it. It does have that glittery texture to it. And then we have kind of this matte brown here. And you can see this one's going to be a little bit more gray. It's actually more like a matte version of this top shade, but slightly more gray. So that is the bottom row of 9.15. And then 9.16, this is 9.14, which was holiday last year. So we're going to compare some of these shades here. We've got this kind of khaki shade here. Let's see how that compares. Again, those are going to be fairly close. This one here in the 9.14 is a little deeper, slightly more orange. Then we have kind of this light brown shimmer shade, and I wanted to see how that compares here. And you can see it's going to be a little bit cooler in tone than that here. A little bit warmer though than the first shade. So it's kind of in between the two of those. We have this silver here. And you can see this is going to be more blue. It's actually more of an icy blue than a silver. And let's take a look at the black here, which is going to be similar, but you can see those are, yeah, I mean, really, they're just very, very close. And then last up, let's take a look at this darker brown here, which is going to be a cooler brown than what we have in the 9.16. So I hope those were helpful. I'm going to remove those, and then we're going to look at some swatches from other brands. So just one more time up close before I remove these. And I hope that was helpful. All right, Givenchy 9.16. This is Byredo Bibliophilia. I wanted to compare the cooler half. So let's go ahead and swatch all of these and see how they compare. We do have some shades here that are not going to go. I'm just going to kind of put these all the way up here and just, kind of just go in a grid. So that's our top row of the Byredo for that half. And then this shade was the one that I really wanted to see how that one compared. You can see it's actually going to be, here, let's put this side by side here so you can see that better. You can see it's a little bit lighter and a little bit warmer than the ones in the 9.16. For our bottom row here, again, all of these golds are going to be more, less orange. They're more of a softer yellow. We have a deep, cooler tone brown, doesn't really match up. And this deep, warmer brown here, again, doesn't really match up. So we do have some similar color ideas essentially, but none of the shades are all that close aside from this shimmer shade, which is kind of, it's like a lighter version of this one. So that is Byredo Bibliophilia, just on the left half of the palette, but I also want to take a look at the Dolce & Gabbana palettes. So this is Dolce & Gabbana Chrome Star, and let's go ahead and we're going to swatch all of these. I'm going to just swatch this one right here so we can kind of just see everything kind of close together. You can see this is going to be more of a gray tone, this shimmer here. Our black is going to be a matte black. And then we've got this nice shimmer brown, but you can see it's kind of close. It's similar to this top shade here. Let me put that right next to that one so you can see how close they are. You can see though that the Dolce & Gabbana one is a little bit more brown. And then we have this pink top coat shade in the middle here. It's like a peachy pink. So that's Chrome Star, but I also wanted to take a look at Amber Venus. They're not really going to match up, but I wanted to just kind of show you the difference in the levels of warmth in case this is one that you have. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put this one right down here at the bottom. And these are going to be warmer tone browns. We've got some peachy hues in here as well. And really beautiful shades again, but pretty different from that in the 9.16. You can see it's significantly warmer in tone. The Chrome Star is definitely closer to the Givenchy, but it's going to be a little bit more of a gray base compared to the Givenchy, which is slightly more neutral. So one more time, we've got the Byredo Bibliophilia, the left half of the palette. We've got Dolce & Gabbana Chrome Star and Amber Venus. And here is our Givenchy Holiday 9.16. So I hope this has been helpful. And a quick summary of everything we talked about today. We looked at all three of the new Hermes lipsticks for holiday. They are limited edition shades. Personally, I love the colors. They are shades I couldn't miss, and I feel like they're ones that I will wear a lot. I started off with the Rose Mauve in a previous video, and it's one that I've been picking up and using a lot throughout this time. I'm even happier with the Matte Leger because I just love how they can be really light, or you can make them more vibrant. And I just feel like this particular formula is just one that's so easy to just, you know, it's one of those ones that you can just use anytime with any look, and you've got variety in how you apply it. So love those, love that finish. I love how we've got kind of some lighter shades and kind of the poppier pink in the Rose Premiere. So I'm happy with all three of those. The Givenchy 9.16 palette, I love it. It's a great neutral palette. I don't love this kind of goldy orange shade. This one here is okay. I actually like how it kind of balances things out, but this one's not my favorite. The palette itself, though, is stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. And we did go through some comparisons in case you have something similar already. And yeah, I think the closest similarity is the 9.12 palette. So I hope this has been helpful. Overall, no regrets on any of these. These are definitely products I'm going to love throughout the year, not just holiday season. I think that's what makes a holiday release a really great one. If it's something that is not special occasion makeup, something you're going to wear every day and really get your money's worth out of it. And I feel like that's how these products are for me. So super happy with them. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.